Hello and welcome to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
We're missing our buddy. However, we have a really great guest on today, and that is Brett with Dakota Tech.
Yeah, it was a great interview that you guys will enjoy learning about Rotoract and what they're doing down there.
I couldn't agree more. Let's get into it, though.
Let's do it.
I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? Rotary is a great place to get involved in your community and meet passionate groups of people, as well as individuals dedicated to service and fellowship. At Rotary, we believe in the power of teamwork to bring positive change. As a member, you will have the opportunity to participate in exciting projects that address local and global challenges. From supporting educational initiatives to environmental conservation, we tackle it all. Joining a Rotary Club means becoming part of a diverse family of individuals who share a passion for giving back and having fun while making positive impact. With projects and events that enrich your community, there's something for everyone, from local initiatives to international collaborations. It doesn't matter what culture or country you come from. What matters is that you want to belong to a group that strengthens communities and creates lasting change. There's a place for everyone at Rotary, regardless of age or background. Learn more by searching for a Rotary Club in your community and visiting. Together, let's make a difference. Rotary, people of action.
Up your game and show off your Rotary Club spirit. Did you know there's a one-stop shop for all things Rotary apparel? Russell Hampton Company is the world's largest provider of licensed Rotary branded merchandise. From apparel like hats, jackets, and shirts to banners, tents, and awards, they have it all. And most things are customizable. And they can handle orders of all sizes. Russell Hampton Company also has deep connections to Rotary. In 1920, the company founder was part of Rotary Club No. 1 in downtown Chicago. Russell Hampton Company models their business on the Rotary 4-way test and gives back 10% of all purchases to Rotary, supporting its global work. So the next time you and your club are out on a service project, arrive with the right swag from Russell Hampton Company to promote your club and Rotary. Even non-Rotarians will want some of your cool hats, shirts, and jackets. Learn more at bestclubsupplies.com. That's bestclubsupplies.com.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
We're missing Joseph Kirk today,
Yes,
but we're
we are.
going to take it away. Before we dive into who our guest is, though, Chad is going to remind us of our show's purpose.
The purpose of the show is to connect Rotarians and non-Rotarians with service opportunities through stories of service, both through Rotary and through other organizations, and really just connecting the community. Obviously, we think Rotary is maybe the best connection into service, but the goal is to just connect people with great stories that inspire them to serve.
And one more thing, too.
What did I miss?
Our show's sponsor.
Oh, and our show sponsor, we want to thank Russell Hampton Company, the number 1 printer in the world for Rotary licensed gear. You can check them out at russellhampton.com. They can help you out with anything Rotary, from your awards, your name badges, on to, if you're watching online, you can see they gave us some tumblers, a cutting board, a hat, and so they can really help you with anything. So check them out, russellhampton.com, and we want to thank them for sponsoring.
Nice work. Nice work, Chad. Well, we're so honored to have you here today, Brett Kolles. Brett is the advisor for the Dakota County Technical College Rotoract Club. And so really we want to take an opportunity for our listeners to get to know Brett. My first question is, are you originally from the Twin Cities area?
Yes, I am.
All right.
And I actually grew up in Roseville, Minnesota, and then my wife and I wouldn't decide to move to Egan, and have never looked back. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And are you a fellow Rotarian?
Well, yes. Rotoract is a division of Rotary International, and so by definition, I am a Rotarian. Okay. And Rotaract is designed for college students, which works out really well for DCTC. We've only been in existence for 2 years, but it's been quite a ride, and we've been growing by exponentially. The toughest part about being an advisor is that we can get students in, but then they graduate and transfer and move on and get jobs. And so recruitment is just this constant, opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Yeah. And it's great for the students because they have a shot at leadership opportunities as president, vice president, treasurer, events supervisor, all these kinds of things, which looks great on their resume.
Yeah, I bet it's a good resume
Very
builder. Cool. What is your role at Dakota Technical College outside of the advisor to Rotaract?
Well, I teach all things English. So
we better be careful with our emails back and forth and have the proper English and pronunciation and all of it.
I do have a plaque on my desk that says, I am silently correcting your grammar.
Yes.
But it's interesting because I've been teaching at the college for 16 years, but before that I was in the advertising business.
Oh.
And so that was 14 years. And I just needed to make the transition. I wanted to do something more fulfilling, I guess. Yeah. Sure. And so I decided that what I'd really like to do is, my mom was an English teacher, and it's transferable skill set from being in advertising with communication and writing and so on and so forth. So I went to get my advanced degrees and then got my first job at the University of St. Thomas, and I really enjoyed it.
Very cool.
Wonderful.
I have to ask, this is off topic from the Rotary show here. How much are you seeing and dealing with the chat GPT? And it's got to be, 20 years ago, 18 years ago, I was in college, and it was just starting to at least run papers through to see if there's plagiarism. Yeah. So how is that addressed? Yeah,
that's the 900-pound gorilla, as they say. And we've gone to conferences. We've had speakers come in. There's a couple of things about chat GPT, and we always tell students it's not a perfect scenario. Yeah. For instance, when I check your references on your works cited page, I can guarantee you if you're using chat GPT, it doesn't match up.
Yeah.
And that's a tell there.
So that's an easy.
Yeah, that's an easy one. And then there's Turnitin.com that has really kind of ramped up their game where they can detect it. So we send in essays and so on and so forth, and they can detect it. So there's ways we're doing it. The most helpful device is shorter lessons, if you will. Yeah. And so you take things in steps with writing the outline first, they turn that in, and then so on and so forth, give me topic sentences, and until finally it's more work to use Chat GPT than to...
So it's more setting up the processes, and then it's...
That's a good question. That was a really good question, Chad. No, I mean, ChatGPT is something that is pretty regularly used now, I would say.
I would bet, especially with the younger generation.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing. It's a really useful tool. Yep. If somebody really wants to do a professional business letter or something, and then this is not their area of expertise, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But what I want to do is make sure that our students know the benefits of being able to write themselves and write coherently. So, and they get that. They 5 years ago, I was way more nervous than I am now.
Yeah. Very cool. I know just writing, at the radio station, writing ads, I'll use it, but not to write the ad. It makes you use different language.
Yeah.
But what comes out is not what you would ever use.
Right.
But it's a tool that helps kind of not make things, because, but writing, you have your own style. Mm-hmm. And you don't want every ad that you're writing to sound the same. Right.
Yeah.
So I look at it as a tool that helps me kind of get out of the same cadence. I know our producer Brett does the same, and it's never writing. I mean, you can ask it to write it. It's not an ad you would use, but it kind of helps get some language and some cadence that is not in the style I would typically write, which is a good thing.
Well, it's interesting. When this became an enormous issue years ago, really, and we were all nervous. We didn't know what to do. And I'll never forget, I had our chief librarian, fabulous guy, Michael Kirby, come into the classroom. And as we're walking in, I said, should we or should we not talk about ChatGPT? if we bring it up, some people may not have ever heard of it. But if we don't bring it up, then we look ignorant.
Yeah.
So we looked at each other and we're like, we are so going there.
Yeah.
And we brought it up and we went through everything. And then that's when we dropped all this information about, here's how we know if you're using it.
Yeah.
And we both walked out of that classroom thinking that was a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Don't
awesome.
try to run away. Just
it's not going anywhere.
Lean in.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
it's at some point or another, you're going to have to just, face those demons.
Right.
So on, to put it pretty bluntly.
Right.
But
Right.
I'm glad that you guys tackled it. I've been very curious about that.
I know. I've thought about the college
thank you for
level
asking.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
So to get back to Rotaract.
We'll get back on track now. Don't worry.
How did Rotaract, you say it's 2 years in, get started at Dakota Technical College?
Sure. Well, I actually started the Lions Club many years ago. The vice president of our college asked me if I could start up a Lions Club, and I liked what Lions do. It's very similar to Rotary.
Yeah, great organization.
It is. They do fantastic work. And so I started up, and things were going just fine. Everything was going okay, doing very similar types of events. And then one day I had a student come in, and his father happened to be the president of the Apple Valley Rotary Club. And his name is Brian Bessler, and the student's name was Ethan. So I made my pitch at the end of the class, like I always do at the first week of class. Hey, here's Rotoract. We'd love you to join. Here's what we do. It looks great on your resume. We have a lot of fun. Great way to meet people, develop skills, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, Ethan comes up to me afterwards, and he says, do you know who my dad is? I was like, well, no. And he says he's the president of Apple Valley Rotary Club. And he says, there's something called Rotaract, don't you? I said, no. And he says, well, Rotaract is like Lions, but it's designed for students, for college students. And I was like, ooh, you piqued my interest. I'm really curious. He says, come to a breakfast meeting and meet my dad. And so I said, sure. So I met, and it was a phenomenal group. You walked in, and these were dynamic, energetic, very, very good people. And when I mentioned who I was, then all of a sudden everyone did one of these, like, hey, this would be a great fit. And so one thing led to another, and it's been a perfect fit because we've had so many people from the different Rotary clubs come in as mentors, as speakers. They come in to join us for certain events. Some events they won't touch, like, for instance, our annual snowshoeing event. No, that one didn't. No,
that's not for that.
But others were great. So it's been it was a little bit awkward transition because I have a lot of friends in the Lions Club.
Yep.
But that being said, I love how Rotaract is designed internationally for college students. It just makes it a better fit.
Yeah, I can imagine having the club sponsor too with the mentorship is, and I'm sure that was happening. But that's a key component. I couldn't, had I known in college, it would be very well received. How did you get it started? I know you said it's the transition, but what was the process like?
Sure. Excuse me. We had an induction ceremony similar to what we did with Rotaract. And it was just really a matter of asking students, would you like to come out? And we do, for instance, Habitat for Humanity. That's one of our big projects. Every month, I pledged that we would have some service activity. And so you would just get a couple of people. They would bring their student friends along with, and we just start building this club. We were never a really big club with Lions. We would have about a dozen students. Yeah. But that's really to be expected because they graduate, they move on. It's a 2-year college, and so it's constantly a recruitment exercise.
Sure.
And so it was just basically these activities, and then they found out, hey, Habitat for Humanity, oh my God, I'm learning how to hang plasterboard. Yep. Meeting a lot of friends. One of my passions is I love food preparation for those that are less fortunate. Yep. So we do a lot with we Feed My Starving Children, Loaves and Fishes is really a neat one where you're actually preparing the food and you're serving it, and that's really a neat experience. And Second Harvest, we just started going with that. And again, that was something that Natasha had suggested that we do. And that was really a neat experience, and we definitely want to do that again. So, yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
It sounds like it's a very active club. So you said you try and do a service project every month.
Right.
And obviously you talked about how where you like to go. You talked about the unique with the snowshoeing. What do the students? I'm sure you get some unique opportunities that students bring to you. What have been some of those?
Yeah,
Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll never forget one student had asked, and this was back in the Lions Club days. He was very interested in doing something with, what's that bicycle outfit for the Cure? Bike for the Cure.
Bike for the Cure?
Yeah.
Or Race for the Cure.
Race for the Cure. And he was really interested in that, and I had no knowledge of this at all. So that was a learning experience for us all. We got involved with that. Other people have different interests at all, and they can come up, and all ideas are certainly welcome.
Yep.
Most of the time, the students just like the idea that if we have something out there that will pique their interest. And for instance, the Chili Cook-Off is our biggest annual event, and that will have 200 people come, including all these Rotarians, lots of students, and so on and so forth. And it's kind of a sweet deal because it's $4 for all the chili you care to sample. We'll have 30 kinds of chili out there.
Sounds amazing.
It's super. Live music. My friend and colleague, Dr. Harold Torrance, is an amazing musician. He'll provide all the music. It's just fun.
Yeah.
And everyone that comes there has a great time and a full belly when they leave. And they get a slice of cornbread and a soda and so on and so forth. And it's just this wonderful way to build our culture, our community, and get new members for the Rotary Club. Because what happens is this takes place every April, the second Thursday of April. Well, that's perfect because the semester ends in a couple of weeks. Now I've got a base to start again next fall. So
nice.
So it works out really well. And then the proceeds of it, we don't make that much money. We make maybe $1,000 or something, but that works well because then that can help pay for some of our service activities.
Yeah.
Circling back to Habitat for Humanity, it's an all-day thing. Well, I'm not going to have them bring their own lunch. I'm going to take everybody out to lunch, on compliments of the Rotoract, and so on and so forth. And so it helps cover all those things.
Yeah, very cool.
That is, that's very nice. I'm sure it's incentivizing too, especially for college students and they're not rolling in a ton of
free lunch.
dough.
That's pretty valuable in college.
We do a lot of pizzas. Yeah. So we have on top of a service project once a month, we also have a meeting once a month where we talk about everything. We talk about personal things, what are going on in people's lives, but we're also it's an area where people say, "Have you ever thought about doing such and such?" And then we can look into it and go from there. I just got one the other day. And a student was wondering about Be the Match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's interesting. I don't know if that's a fit for us, but let's talk. Let's figure it out, So it's kind of neat. I love that kind of enthusiasm and vitality. The students that do participate, they find out something about themselves.
Yeah.
And they find out that, yes, we're all busy. And that's the number one objection. I don't have time.
Yep.
Can't blame them. They're working.
Yeah.
They're going to school full time. But you sneak in that 2-hour volunteer project, and suddenly they're energized. They feel good. It's a great thing. They meet new friends, and it's all this.
Yeah, very cool. How you're 2 years in? How has it grown? From the inception.
Yeah, it's. I guess the way to measure growth is because we've got about 14 members, give or take, but I look at how our growth is with how many projects we do and our goals and so on and so forth. And that's why I kind of want to see where this club is going in terms of how can we get other Rotoracts started in colleges. Yeah. And so I was so energized when I got the email from Ron Axel down at the Waconia Rotary Club, and he said, "Hey, you know what? We want to start up a club out in Crown College." And I was like, "This is music to my ear. This is exciting. If we could just start expanding Rotoract for college students, it'd be great." Goal number 2 for me is that I don't want them to leave Rotoract and say that was just that was fun. That was good. Met some great people. Got a job through them, so on and so on. I want them to join a Rotary Club. Yeah. And so if we can be this breeding ground, if you will, and just transition it so students get a flavor for volunteer work and then they join a Rotary Club, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like there was another guest that we had on where we were discussing, like, how can we bridge that gap? Because it seems like there's a disconnect when it comes to Rotaract and then making
Rotary clubs.
Making a successful transition over to another Rotary club. I don't know.
We've talked about, do you have not necessarily another club like Rotaract, but a young professionals that lower price point, entry point to join a regular or traditional club or something that can bridge that gap because, we're in Rotary, in our club. There's not a lot of young professionals that are fresh out of college that are active. And so, that's always the goal, I think, is to, grow membership in general, to have more impact. And, it's a problem that's
Well, one thing that we found that really is working well is we do have a couple of students that have graduated now. They graduated last week, and they told me they are moving on to the Apple Valley Rotary Club. I said, great. And part of it is that the breakfasts are fantastic.
Yeah.
And we cover those, and sometimes Apple Valley actually comps, but otherwise we'll take care of it. And then they get to meet these fascinating people.
Yeah.
And they're in the field, and they're very gregarious, and they come up to our students. And honestly, our students are like junior rock stars when they walk in.
I bet.
Yeah.
We're Rotaract, and people are like, you guys do good stuff. This is really, really good. And so there's this constant, this wonderful bonding. Mm-hmm. And so I think once that relationship is made, I think the transition goes a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
And instead of just saying, okay, you're all done with Rotaract, and then, here's a couple of names of people.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Well, it seems like there could be some, and maybe this already does happen, but some sort of guidance in regards to, having the discussions with the current Rotaract members, what their trajectory looks like, where they may be going, and then making a connection point to, you're going to be relocating to the West Metro.
Right.
In Plymouth. Well, let's get you connected to so-and-so over at that Rotary or this Rotary and just have conversations. Well, here are your options.
Right.
Here's the email introduction or a phone call introduction.
Here
We'll
you
let
go.
you take it from there. Because, there's got to be some responsibility on their end. You can't just do the hand-holding the entire way. But
No,
it
I
is
think that's a great point. And
facilitate.
you can't throw a snowball without hitting a Rotary. I mean, they're all over the place.
Yep.
And Natasha, for example, this is a great example. She grew up in Eagan, and so she's like, well, I'd like to go have us go to some of those Eagan Rotary meetings. Let's do it. And so same thing. We go over there, and we were so welcome to come. And they, included the chili cook-off in their program and their calendar. And I'm thinking, Natasha, this is really a good idea. We could really do this for all these different clubs.
Yeah.
And that seems to be working. The tricky part, of course, is these students don't know if they're going to be getting a job in Eden Prairie or Missoula or where they're going to be working. So,
you don't know.
You don't know,
But I think you guys are doing the right thing and having that interaction because every club has some uniqueness to it. So I think it gives you more comfort, the more clubs in the area. And obviously you're not going to go to, Blaine, from the college, in the South. But, I think it's a good idea as you're talking. Obviously Apple Valley is really kind of how it got started, but getting to the other ones because the more you kind of get involved, because it can be intimidating to go to a meeting if you, A, don't know anybody, or B, haven't been to one.
Exactly.
Even though they are pretty inviting once you get there.
But we had the thing about Rotary, we at the chili cook-off was this great way to get some of the local people. We had the mayor of Rosemont come, and he was well received. I had Angie Craig come, and that was kind of neat. And so the students are like, really? To hear? And so suddenly it became kind of this cool club to be a part of.
Yeah.
And so little did they know I came inches from getting Kurt, drawing a blank, Kurt Cousins.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
And that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
And I got really close, and then he got traded. So, but I got very nice letters from the governor and from Amy Klobuchar saying, this sounds really interesting. Can't do it next year. Please invite us next year.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Well, it's a step in the right direction for certain.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, and it sounds like you guys, for being 2 years in, kind of got your stuff together. I mean, it obviously helps having you had the experience of being the advisor with the Lions Club, but
yeah,
2 years in, it sounds
it's like a humming, humming machine.
Like I said, we've had such great leadership with Natasha and with Ethan. It's just like, oh my goodness, this is such great luck. And I mean, we've got some people that are interested in stepping up next year, and they are fabulous students. So we'll see, but those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
So you've brought up the name Natasha, and for our listeners who have been regulars listening to our show, you probably listened to Natasha's episode, and so we're just going to make that quick connection. But she shared some pretty great information about what the club has meant to her. What impact has Rotoract had on the college itself and then the students that are involved?
Yeah, great questions. The first thing that comes to mind, what it's done for the college, is in the words of my friend and colleague, musician, Dr. Harold Torrance, he says, it builds our culture. Yeah. And I love that because it goes beyond just community. It builds our culture. It's who we are. Yeah. And there's very few things nowadays that really do bring people together. Yeah. When COVID hit the college, it wrecked everything. Yeah. And I'm not speaking hyperbole. It was just devastating. Our club was hurt. I mean, we were just like, what are we going to do? Yeah. Worst timing possible. Mm-hmm. The worst part, in my estimation, and as an instructor, is I could see the disconnect between students, and I could see the lack of social skills, deteriorating social skills.
Yeah.
And it was bad. And trying to get people out of their comfort zone of being individuals and joining a club was really a Sisyphean chore. It was tough. It was really, really tough. And just as an aside note, one thing I did, and I've never done this before as an instructor, I went through the entire college and reserved the classroom that had round tables.
Yeah.
And the students had to sit and look at each other. And it worked great. Instead of having instructor and then students just looking at the instructor. Oh, no. We're going to have conversations. And it worked out really, really well. And so circling back here with what it's done for the college, now people have found out what they missed during the COVID days. And I think that's part of the momentum is people are really enjoying this.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, my God, these are kind of fun people. And I'm not lonely anymore. This is great. I feel purposeful. It's fantastic.
It's come up on numerous occasions on this podcast, whether it's specific Rotary clubs or nonprofit organizations that have been on here, and the struggles and challenges that they may have overcome or encountered during COVID. Mm-hmm. And you could see this pulling away that happened both socially, becoming more independent. And then all of a sudden it was like this culture shock of like, oh my gosh, I'm just internalizing everything versus like outwardly doing stuff for other people, which is where we can find a lot of joy is in giving to other people and helping other people or helping for a bigger cause. Right. And so now you kind of start to see the tidal wave of that impact of the impact of COVID, and now where people are going, no, I just can't do this anymore.
It's a vacuum that is filled, and now it's starting to bubble over with enthusiasm. And so, in all candor, it's not just our club that is doing very well. Our student life they've never had this many students involved in campus activities ever. Since the start of the college.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And so student life is justifiably beating their chest saying, we've done well. And it's like, you have done well, but there's this need for students to develop the soft skills, to network with each other, have some fun, enjoy lunch together, a meeting, and so on and so forth. So,
what time? Go ahead, Chad.
No.
I've been asking a lot of questions.
No, go ahead.
What time do you guys meet at?
Yeah, we switch all the time. Usually what we do is that, and it depends on the semester because it depends on classes. Okay. Tuesdays for a half-hour lunch meeting, is once a month is what we do.
Wow.
And that seems to work well. Everybody eats lunch. And 11:30, yes, we don't get everybody, but it seems to work. Our activities are always in the evening. We never have day activities. So my sign-up sheet is always just sign up for the ones that you want to do. You're not obligated to come to the meeting. You're not obligated to do anything, but just be on the routing list.
Yeah.
So if something just catches your eye, sign up, do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a good way to approach. I think as we were talking just Rotary in general, I think that's the fear people have. We talk, Joe and Kelly, my co-hosts, they have young children and it's time and everybody's busy. You don't need to always, you make it when you can and you enjoy it and you always, as you said earlier, you get more out of it and learn about yourself. And
right, exactly.
It's a good approach to maybe get away from some of the traditional of Rotary being, attendance-based and, I think it's a really good approach.
Yeah, it seems to work. I mean, and there are some decent activities that Rotary asked us to participate in. The book drive that was in January. Hey, DCTC Rotoract took first place, so we're all proud about that. Yeah. Well, this is taking candy from a baby, frankly. Yeah. It's a college, and we're constantly, should we recycle these books? No, not today. We're going to take these. Yeah. And so we ended up getting this voluminous number of textbooks, and then it worked out great because the Shakopee Rehab is constantly looking for technical writing textbooks so they can give them to their patients or guests and just say, you can help develop new skills and so on and so forth. So that went over extremely well. So
I love the idea too. I went to a 4-year school and you have dorms, on campus. So you kind of have a little bit built in, and then there's clubs. Being a 2-year not on campus, what an opportunity to meet different people and then get involved, which is, I think, happens a little less at a 2-year college, a little bit because you're only there 2 years, as we talked about with the constantly recruiting. But I think it's such a cool opportunity for students to meet other people, get involved. That I know there's other opportunities at 2-year colleges, but I'm
really glad you brought this up because this is such a funny little anecdote that seems to work, and I hope I didn't cut you off.
No, not at all. That was
so. We used to have our meetings, back in the Student Life Center, back tucked away in their boardroom. And then one day, I was like, why do we do this? And we put it right in the middle of the commons area. And I had signs up there, welcome to Rotoract, and so on and so forth. And we had all these people, and we bring in the Domino's pizza. Of course, every head is like, doing the Scooby snack thing. And so
I still do that. We don't have Domino's very often in our household, but I tell you what, it kind of kicks me back into the college years for sure.
Oh, and it's just so funny. So it's like this Pied Piper thing. I'm walking through the campus, setting it down in the center, and all of a sudden I have Rotoract members coming in, and they're all wearing their shirts, and people are like, how
do I get this?
I just want a slice of pizza.
That's a great idea, though. Keep it out in the it's marketing.
Yeah, it's just as open as you can. And then people love seeing that we're laughing an awful lot. I mean, we have a lot of fun. The meetings aren't that serious.
Yeah.
It's just like 80% of it is just like, how's your life going?
Yeah, connecting.
Right, right, exactly.
Brett, you had mentioned that you really have a passion for sharing kind of the uniqueness about Rotaract within technical colleges. Mm-hmm. Have you established maybe some goals, right? Because you were approached by an individual for Crown College, but have you thought bigger? Have you thought about maybe some of the other technical colleges around the Twin Cities area that could really benefit from developing a Rotaract internally?
Yeah, and I have thought about that quite a bit because I would love to see this spread and expand. There's a couple of challenges. One is the president of our college, for instance, is a Rotarian. And he's always been supportive. Yep. And Michael Barrett is fabulous, and he's always been very supportive and excited to know that his college has a Rotaract club. Yeah. So there's a couple of things that colleges would need to do to make this successful. One is you have to have a a person that is willing to put in the time and is really focused on the community and just gets it. And it's not difficult to sign up for volunteer activities. It just takes a little bit of coordination, a couple of phone calls, and then you just invite students. But you need to get that faculty member or staff member to head it up. The second thing that we do is that this costs the students nothing at all, nothing. Membership is all covered by the college.
Yeah, that's
through
great.
Either our fundraising or through our student life budget. And so that's important for people to know that for colleges to make this happen, don't expect to go to broke college students and have them pay. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
I can remember those days.
But the biggest thing is just to explain how much fun it is. And if you can get that kind of excitement and just generate that, the students will come because that's such a commonality. People want to meet people and have fun. So, and so whether I would go out there and try to pursue it or something, the most logical step for me would be Michael Barron's the president of our college and also Inver Hills Community College.
Yep.
So we're kind of like sister colleges, if you will, although we're two separate entities, but we share a lot of things. And it would be neat to see somebody from Inver Hills Community College say, we've heard what things think. In fact, we've gone to your chili cook-off, which they have come to. This would be fun. Maybe we should do this. And that would be the next logical step.
Yeah, very close. And even be a little hands-on helping, if you don't have enough on your plate.
Right.
I'm on phased retirement, so I'm good. Yeah, I am going to be doing this for about 5 years, and I work part-time, no more full-time. And
awesome.
So
nice.
I get to choose the classes I want to teach, so
perfect.
Life is good.
That does sound good.
We always ask people, what has been your favorite service project that you've done with Rotaract so far?
Yeah, that is a really tough question. It really is, because each one has its own value. There's something about Habitat for Humanity that I've always loved. And depending on the house, we've had so many stories that were hilarious. I'm not a handy guy at all, but they gave me a nail gun. And I was like, oh, my God, this is fun. And then I was hanging some plasterboard, and there was an outlet there, and I had to cut the drywall to cover it. And I kept missing it. And pretty soon I had this hole the size of a shoebox. And I was like, oh, what am I doing wrong? And suddenly one of the Rotaract students takes some pictures of it. And he's just posting this on Facebook. And he's like, oh, my God, he doesn't know what he's doing. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so anyways, and that was really fun. And depending on the house, we have done new home construction and we've done demolition and we've just put new stuff in. That's always been a fun thing. It's a one-day thing. The downside for me is I'm getting too old for this. And it's really backbreaking.
The physical labor.
Yeah. And one of my favorite stories is I had a student that was a Marine. And the guy was svelte. I mean, he was just chiseled. And he joined Rotaract because he liked what we were doing. And he comes out to Habitat for Humanity. We're building a deck, which is like, that's the cherry on the. That's what you want to do. He's hauling these joists, and he's got them. And I'm like, good God, man, look at how strong this guy is. And so, anyways, he's got this very deep voice, and to fit his body or whatever. And so I see him in the hallway, and he's leaning over the balcony like this. I come up and I said, "Hey, Ken, how's it going today?"
And his name is Ken? Come on.
And he goes, I feel every bone in my body.
Hadn't lifted like that in a while.
Oh, my God. It was just hilarious. I have a passion for food preparation. I love anytime you can feel like you're really helping somebody with their primary needs, such as getting a hot meal.
Yeah.
And so loaves and fishes is usually my favorite thing, because not only do you just prepare the food, you buy the food, which we use our fundraising money for. Yep. We buy the food, we prepare the food, and then we have a second group that comes and serves the food. And then the servers also come and clean up afterwards. And some people take on both roles. But again, 2-hour shifts each. You can do 4 if you want, but it's fine. And that is really, really fun. our signature dinner that we bring is Swedish meatballs or butter noodles. And,
Very Minnesotan. I like it. I like it.
Oh, yeah, we got the green beans and all this stuff. And so
that sounds really good. I kind of want to have that for dinner.
I've got a killer recipe, let me tell you.
I'll take it.
No, it's really funny because this is, again, one of the few areas where I just say, I'm sorry, but it's going to be done my way. We're doing Swedish meatballs, and I'm making the sauce. You guys do all the other stuff.
Nice. Nice.
I love it. I think with that, you're also teaching, other skills. That's a cool. When you talk about food preparation, I can see that really connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the gratitude that the students see firsthand. Again, we were just coming out of COVID, and so the guests could not sit in the area. They literally had cars lined up, right? And you'd run out. We'd have these car runners, and you'd run out with the food and whatnot. And you do what you got to do, right? Yep. And so the cars are all lined up, but the students were coming back and like, oh, my God, they were so thankful. I was like, I bet they were.
Yeah.
So,
and a home-cooked meal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's always a plus. Before we wrap up, we got about 5 minutes left here. You talked about kind of the growth of it. How do you're going into a new year. You got some candidates. How do you just get through the summer months to get, obviously you're looking at second-year students, obviously, for leadership. But how does that transition look? And how do you, it's every year, as we talked about with the 2-year school.
Again, Chad, another great question. We kind of suspend our club for the summer.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Oh, okay.
We just don't. We just say, have a great summer, everybody. We'll regroup next fall.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to piecemeal this thing, we just got everybody a break, and then they look really forward to doing something next fall.
Yeah.
Next fall, I've got this idea in the back of my head that I want to try, and it's going to be radical if it works. I want to do a DCTC Has Talent contest, and it would be led by Rotaract, because I started talking to some of our Rotaract members, and I couldn't believe how many are musicians, how many people play an instrument. And then they said, "Oh yeah, but you should hear Sean." And so I'm like, "What if we did this as a Rotaract event, and do it in the September when it's beautiful outside?
Yeah.
We got this great patio out there, and it's just like literally having a sign-up sheet, and people can do whatever they want to do music-wise." And play their instrument, and then we'd have this contest. What a great way to recruit!
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because again, it's sending this message of fun.
What's holding you back?
Nothing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's probably going to happen from our conversation.
No, it's just, and so it's funny because our fabulous student life director, I emailed her 3 weeks ago, and I said, I really want to do this next fall. Let's meet. And she's like, okay, yeah, let's do this, but we've got graduation. Let's meet.
She's got a few things on her plate.
Right, exactly. So it's like, that's fine. But I think that would be fun. And you guys got to come out.
Absolutely.
It'll be great. It'll be fun.
It sounds fun.
I don't even know where Dakota County College is located.
Yeah,
Where
it's
is
in
it?
Rosemount.
Rosemount.
Okay. Yeah. And if you go to Rosemount, you're being blown away. It's the fastest growing suburb I've ever seen in my life.
I have heard that actually. Well, not that it's the fastest one, but that it's growing.
It's exploding, and
quite a bit.
It meant so much to me personally and professionally when the mayor came to the chili cook-off. Because when I introduced him, I said, "I got to believe your schedule is nuts." So thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right on Highway 42 or off of Highway 42.
Highway 42. Yep. And it's all kinds of descriptions of the building. I like to call it a shopping center because when you walk in, it's just a very non-traditional kind of college. And,
Interesting.
What are the biggest areas that people go to that school for?
Sure. Well, we've got, as a technical college, we have nursing, heavy-duty truck construction, automobile, a lot of maintenance. We have we got health and fitness, and I'm missing a whole bunch of them that I'm sure my colleagues are going to be upset about. We have a lot of computer science is another one. What's amazing is that technical colleges, and I know this is going to sound like a sales pitch, but it's not. It's reality. They're coming out of a 2-year college with minimal debt, if any.
Yeah.
And the pay these guys are getting and gals, it's outrageous. It's just phenomenal.
There's such a need for, and you don't, for most of it, need the 4-year. And that's, our technical colleges seeing a lot of growth.
Yes.
It's because I know traditional colleges, because of the costs
Oh, it's just
been dipping.
outrageous.
Right. And so I assumed that it was going.
Yeah, no, we're going beyond just holding our own. But I mean, one of my favorite stories, do we have time for a story?
Time, yeah.
Okay, is I had a student of mine that was actually in the, what's it called? The lineman program. Very good program. Everyone knows that jobs, they're dangerous, but they pay extremely well. Yeah. So this guy was in his parents' basement working at Subway, and his parents basically get a life, get going. So he enrolled in this. He found out he actually, one of the first things they do is they climb a pole to make sure you're not scared of climbing a pole.
Couldn't do it.
It's tough. He found out he kind of likes this stuff, and so he did the 2-year program. Long story short, he gets this job with not Dakota Electric, but another. I can't remember the name of the company, but he found out they paid double on weekends and triple on holidays, and he didn't have any kids, wasn't married, all this stuff. So he's like, bring it.
I'll take the overtime.
So $160,000 first year out of college. It's just like, good God, man, And so his parents are like, you getting a house now, or what are you doing? So.
You're moving out of the basement?
That's incredible.
Yeah, and you hear stories like this all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun having you. We really thank you for joining us today and sharing stories and talking about the Rotaract and the college. It's been
pleasure's been all mine. Thank you both. This was great.
Absolutely.
Hope you have a great rest of the day.
Will do.
And if you want more information, we'll put in what's the website they can find for the Rotaract?
Sure. You just go to, the easiest thing to do would be to Google DCTC blogs, Rotaract.
Okay.
DCTC blogs, Rotaract.
And
I'll keep our blog updated.
I'll put a link in the description, too. If you're listening, you're online, you can click on that.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Thank you again, Brett. Such an honor to have you on and hear a little bit more about what's happening in the Rotaract world. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
Show off your Rotary Club spirit with Russell Hampton Company. They're the world's largest provider of licensed Rotary items. They make everything like hats, jackets, shirts, banners, and more. Russell Hampton Company is a fourth-generation family-owned and operated business founded in 1920 by a member of the first-ever Rotary Club in Chicago, Club Number 1. When you call Russell Hampton Company, you get more than just a company. You get a fellow Rotarian-owned business who's there to help. No matter if you're ordering for your entire club or just yourself, no order is too big or too small. Not sure what your club needs? Their team members can help and customize just about anything. They live by the Rotary 4-way test. They also give 10% of all purchases back to Rotary to support Rotary's global work. So remember, Russell Hampton Company is your one-stop shop for all things Rotary. Learn more at bestclubsupplies.com. That's bestclubsupplies.com. Russell Hampton Company, Rotarians serving Rotarians.
Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build good? Will it better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? When we pay it forward, it will be returned.
Join Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our 4-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing right now was performed by the Rotary Club of Saskatoon, Natuna in Canada.
When we pay it forward, it will be returned.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
I really enjoyed having Brett on.
Yeah, he was a great interview, and just what they're doing down there with the Rotaract. You know, we've had a couple guests on Rotaract, but I think we've really learned a lot more and how you can really grow it with having Brett on.
He's like the facilitator, right? And then there's just the other individuals who, I mean, they serve a very vital role through Rotaract, but he's really the puppet master, if you will.
You need somebody like that when you're turning over every 2 years, because it's a 2-year college.
Yep.
So you only get people for 2 years. So hopefully you get enough in the first year to get a president. It sounds like he's had a lot of success with that, but you can imagine without somebody like that how quickly you wouldn't gain traction because of the nature of a 2-year college.
Well, and what's nice, too, is, you know, learning a bit about him, too, and just the role. Like, not only is that his role, right, with Rotaract, but then what he does in teaching there, too, at Dakota Tech.
Kind of incorporate some of it, you can tell, with it.
Yeah.
And he, you know, obviously has serving in his blood, because prior to starting the Rotaract Club, he talked about that he had the Lions as a group, and how Rotaract's a better fit for you know, the college down there. But yeah, he was a very good, interesting guy to learn from. I think a lot of other colleges he could come and help, but I know he mentioned that there was another college that he's trying to help out Crown College with the Waconia Club, which would be cool to see them kind of get off the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's just rip off and duplicate and scale, and rip off and duplicate and scale, and continue to foster that sort of environment. And the other thing, too, that I enjoyed that was a part of our conversation is just the vision that he has. So you mentioned the, you know, potential partnership with Crown, and being able to do something very similar there, but just the segue from being in Rotaract to graduating, and then, you know, what is that transition over to becoming a full-on Rotarian and having the partnership with the specific Rotary. Yeah,
with they have the Apple Valley Club. Yeah, and I think he identified that and talked about how important that can be for somebody graduating. You know, having a network and something to. Well,
they say it's not what you know necessarily; it's who you know, and he is really kind of putting that into a broad perspective for these students, and just going, listen, we're here to support you on many different levels. And that's just another way, is like, this can become a tool in serving you to be able to get that next career move for yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then continue to foster that through Rotary itself.
Yeah, and it was, you know, we had one of his Rotaract members on with Natasha grad, you know, a few months back, and you know, she was a great interview, and you can tell it probably helps to have a great leader.
Yes.
That brings people together like he's done.
Absolutely. Thoroughly enjoyed that interview with him, and I'm sure we'll have him back on just to talk about that bigger vision and how it's coming along. So,
and maybe we'll go to the chili cook-off.
Oh, that's right. Good. I love it. We hope you enjoyed this episode with Brett. I'm your host, Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
It's time to stop searching
and start serving.
See you next time.